Action continuing from Chicagoland Speedway. Now it's time for the Monster Energy Cup Series to set the starting field. That means qualifying is now coming up from this mile-and-a-half racetrack. And Dale Jr. and Jeff Burton and myself here going to watch what is going to be a little different from what we've seen. We saw practice where they're out there in groups and actually racing. Now it's single-car qualifying. What are they trying to accomplish in this session, Jeff?
Well, listen, everybody wants to sit on the pole, right?
Okay.
And track position matters, and pit selection matters. All those things matter. And from what we saw in practice, I think being in front of somebody is going to be a huge advantage. I know that this track gets wide. You can move around and go different places, but still track position is king. So if you can start the race with it and keep it, it's a big advantage.
Yeah, I think watching qualifying and practice and all those things every single week, I'm trying to understand, like, who's going to win the race? Who are the fast guys that are going to be good tomorrow? And we've got to read qualifying different now than we would in the past. The way these cars are set up and the rules we have today, qualifying is a little bit different. The race-winning car might not qualify well, right? Yeah. So we got to, we're sort of learning that process along with everyone else, because everything for me in qualifying and practice, whether we're doing the practices or qualifying, is about who's going to win, what car I think is going to win, because I want to sound smart.
Well, right. I want to look good in my fantasy.
I want to look good when I'm talking about, man, I think this guy's a favorite, right? So I got to learn a whole new ball game here.
Yeah.
It is a real balance between how much drag do you want on your car versus how much downforce. Right. So a car today that sits on the pole may not have as much downforce on his car because they've got that dialed out, which takes drag away, which makes it go fast by itself. But when the tires get old and the track gets slick, now you don't make grip. So it's hard for us to know that until we see how they race tomorrow. So it qualifies a little bit harder to watch than it's ever been.
So that means racing is way more important, and that's what they're focused on. It's an impound qualifying session. That's coming up next. Monster Energy Cup Series qualifying is now underway from Chicagoland, and the first car rolling on the racetrack is Paul Menard. The way this works, from last week's race and last week's qualifying, they take the top 20 and the people outside the top 20, randomly draw them, and the folks that qualified outside of the top 20, those 20 are randomly drawn, and they will go out first. And then the next 20, random drawing, they go out last. So right now, that's why Paul Menard is on the racetrack. Now, earlier today, he was 13th fastest of both practices. So Paul Menard, we should see a pretty good idea of what's going to take place here from him.
I know there's different rules set on the pole here last year. It's got to give him a little confidence as a driver. Look at the line, though. Not all the way against the wall. Talk to some drivers about how to qualify. What can you do as a driver?
How rough it is, man.
They got to trim. They trim the line. They trim feet off of the distance. They don't have to run all the way out against the wall.
And you saw those green dots. That's how much throttle it is. I didn't see him lift anywhere. It didn't lift through 3 and 4. 31-17.
And will they stay on the throttle the entire way around? DJ McLeod, he's doing double duty. Just got done with the Xfinity Series race. See a little wiggle there.
He had to come out of the throttle just a little bit.
And Clint Boyer said that if you lift, you're done. You have to be wide open to have any chance in a qualifying position. So if you come out of the throttle at all, you're gonna lose so much momentum. And it's uncomfortable. Through the bumps, the cars bounce around, the back's moving around, but you got to stay in that throttle.
What about the pressure one lap? You get one lap again. This is it. So there's no first round, second round, third round. It's one time around to figure out who's going to be the fastest and where you're going to start.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that way if a guy makes a mistake, he doesn't get a chance to redeem himself. If you put a good lap in, get the pole, it's your pole.
Corey LaJoie will be the next one on the clock, and we go down to Marty Snyder.
Let's chat with Austin Dillon. So I heard you in first practice. The car was a little bit of a struggle. Did you get it better in happy hour?
Yeah, we made some fundamental changes. Our down car ended up pretty good. I think we were 11th on average. We didn't have the fast lap that you'd like to see, but that was because we were kind of augered in on the splitter there for a little bit in that second practice. But once it would come off the splitter, we felt like the car was pretty drivable, and hopefully made the right changes here for qualifying.
The most impressive thing for Austin this weekend turnaround. Check out the hairdo. It's cut in. Rick, I expect to see that from you tomorrow.
Oh, he's a star. That's
Stars
for
and
sure.
stripes.
Corey LaJoie, you know, he runs for Go Fast Racing. They only have 14 employees. I mean, that's pretty impressive. He had a great run at Charlotte, but for 14 full-time employees to be able to put together a cup car and run as well as they have been, I think that's a good testament to how hard those guys are working. Ross Chastain, we mentioned double duty. Well, Ross Chastain just got done racing in the Xfinity Series race, and we were talking about Ross Chastain and how difficult he is to pass now. Well, he showed that and maybe a little bit more during the Xfinity race just moments ago.
He's extremely aggressive. He's fun to watch. You know he's going to be as much throttle as he can be in this qualifying effort, but when he gets in these Xfinity cars and trucks, he's out there to win that race and does everything he can to make it happen.
Ross Chastain will run full-time for the Truck Series Championship. That's where he is gaining points towards those championships. Has to break into the top 20 in points to be eligible for the playoffs. He's already got a win now that will count to get him into the playoffs. And good transition because Ryan Newman comes on the track next, and we actually reference Ryan Newman as being a tough guy to pass when we were talking about Ross Chastain.
Yeah, I think Ryan would be proud of the way Ross has been racing these guys in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series. And Ryan's got to be proud of himself. I mean, he's got this car in playoff position, 1 point ahead of Jimmy Johnson in 16th. Overachieving, in my opinion, really doing a good service to this team all year long.
He won 94. He ran an 82 in practice, and that put him 7th fastest in practice, so just a touch off of that.
We were expecting him to be fast. He was 7th fastest of the 2 practices. Now this is a good indicator right here. If we have Kevin Harvick, you look at the throttle for him, he's going to stay in it, but he was 3rd fastest in those first 2 practices.
There you go, wide open, but not easy to do. You can see that car moving around a lot. Not like he's just in there on a Sunday drive, had his hands full.
He does have his hands full over the bump, but he didn't have to use the whole racetrack up on corner exit. Watch down here in 3 and 4, through the bumps. Chases the back just a little bit, but doesn't have to use the entire racetrack up again. Cutting feet off of the distance of the lap. That's definitely going to be quicker.
Great lap for him, 66.
He ran a 70 in practice, and as you said, he was 3rd fastest. So that right now, obviously, time to beat. 66, that's fast.
And we mentioned, you know, the surprise of the season is Kevin Harvick not winning. Kevin Harvick not winning races. He's led a lot of laps. He's been up front, but nowhere near what we saw out of him in 2018. Now Josh Bilicki will be on the clock.
You can see just trending the wrong way, but doesn't have a lot of experience in these cars with a team on a very small budget.
So out of the gas, Josh Bilicki of the 7 that have gone, the slowest so far. Talk about low budgets. Josh Bilicki behind the wheel of that car, trying to get the most out of it. We see Daniel Hemric now on the clock. Daniel Hemric, as we were just talking about the Big 3 in the Xfinity Series, he was a part of the Championship 4 at the end of the season last year in the Xfinity Series, and now has made his way up into the Cup Series running for Richard Childress Racing.
Daniel Hemric and his team, they need some positive stuff to happen for them. Haven't had a great year. Got off to a really slow start with a bunch of problems, and other people just haven't had problems. So they're mired back in points. 2nd fastest, 68. Harvick is 66. So good lap.
Good lap for Daniel Hemric. Again, Kevin Harvick has the fastest lap in qualifying. Hemric's actually going to join Steve Letarte on the Peacock Pit Box when we come back. Well, you can start playing NASCAR Fantasy Live at any time. All you got to do is create an entry, pick 5 drivers, and invite your friends, join existing leagues. And if you listen to Junior or Burton or Letarte, you can figure out the guys you should put on your fantasy team. That's the way to do it. right?
Well, you hope so. You hope it's going to work out in your favor, but it hasn't been that great for me this year.
You can compete against you guys.
We have some great theories.
I'm making a run. I'm making a run, man. I'm making a run.
Come back.
The second half of the year is going to be fun for me. Bubba Wallace out on Bubba's on the racetrack. Saw him run the high side 3 and 4, trying to get the momentum up in that car. Use all the racetrack he can before he comes to the finish line.
Got Victory Junction on the hood and the quarter panel.
He's real low off of turn 4.
And half a second off of what Harvick posted. So Wallace is 5th quickest. I mentioned Victory Junction. It's a camp in North Carolina that helps kids really experience camp like normal children that don't have disabilities and such. Great organization. As we see Brad Keselowski back on a 1.5-mile track, and he's got to feel good about that after coming off of Kansas not too long ago.
He's got 2 wins at 1.5 miles, 3 top 2 finishes at 1.5 miles this year. I really think that he could be the guy to beat. I don't know if he's going to show out in qualifying or be there at the first stage, but they find ways to get themselves that track position they need, and then Brad is tough enough and tenacious to hold it late in those races.
Yeah, the Penske's weren't qualifying early well in the year, but Logano got a pole just a few races ago, and maybe they all learned something from that. Third fastest.
He runs a 30.88, so again, it's Harvick at 30.66, then 30.68 for Hemric, and now Keselowski at 30.88. So a good qualifying run for Daniel Hemric. The 30.68, obviously we've got quite a few cars still to go, but I would say Daniel Hemric and that Chevrolet team it's a bright spot right now for them.
Yeah, Lancaster on the racetrack right now. If you look at Lancaster and this race team, they made some pretty good games. Derek Cope and his program, when they started out, they were having trouble just putting laps together and staying out on the racetrack, and they've developed some speed, out qualifying cars, out finishing cars, and that's sort of Landon's MO. He does that everywhere he goes. He's a great guy if you're trying to build a brand new program to bring stability and speed. A great qualifier, take care of your race car in the race, doing a good job for these guys.
Austin Dillon, we just saw Daniel Hemric, his teammate, second fastest. Austin said they made a lot of changes to the car. Let's see what he can make happen. Just a little bit off. He take a big arc into turn 1. It worked well for him. Look at it. Build speed down the back straightaway.
In the green.
Once again, not going all the way out to the wall. Try to shorten this entry up a little bit. Get the left side's right on the line. Hard to do with it bouncing like that.
Looking pretty good here. Got a good run off the 4.
Just make it as straight and as short as you can.
That's a great lap. Austin Dillon goes to the top now. 30.63. Marty.
Austin Dillon promised they would be quick. He delivers on that. Ryan Newman right now 5th fastest for him. And 1.5 mile program for Roush Fenway's been pretty good this year. That surprised you coming into the year maybe a little bit?
We got a lot of room to improve. Oscar Mayer Ford's definitely an improvement over what we tested here and what we've been on 1.5 mile tracks. But, you know, just where we qualify is where we qualify. We've got to get better at collecting stage points and getting the most out of the weekend to capitalize to get these points. If we're working on getting better so that we can be into the top 5 and win, we've got to collect more points throughout the race, being stage points along the way.
You got Ryan Newman right now 5th, Rick.
Ryan is interesting to me because I felt like that in his past role at RCR, he had lost a lot of energy, lost sort of some passion in that situation. And I didn't expect to see this Ryan Newman that we've seen this year in that 6 car. He's really impressed me on how determined he is to prove he can make that program better.
This is Bailey Curry, or actually that was Bailey Curry, the 52, the 22-year-old out of Driftwood, Texas. Now that's Quinn Huff in the 77. 21-year-old out of Virginia. Hasn't been running all of the races, and as a matter of fact, this will be his first start here in the Cup Series at Chicagoland.
What a great experience, right? Cup race. To race against the people that you look up to as your heroes.
And a 2.5 off of what we've seen out of Austin Dillon. Let's head down to the Peacock pit box. Steve, I think it isn't Daniel Hemric, but it's Kyle Larson that has joined you now.
Rick, you promised Daniel Hemric. I think Kyle heard that, so he ran over here and beat him to it. But actually, Kyle, appreciate you joining me first of all. But you're the last car out, so
yeah,
I know you have some time here. Yeah, and you in Chicagoland, like, you're the highlight reel here. I hope you've been watching some of our promotion. That move with you and Kyle Busch last year, I mean, it was probably the best mile-and-a-half finish we've seen in years. I heard you and Dale Jr. went and relived it out there on the track. Pretty cool to relive it.
Yeah, myself, Kyle, and Dale went over to turn 2 where, I got into Kyle, and we talked about, what all kind of went on down the front stretch, and then through there, and then we moved down into turn 3 where I got the bumper laid to me. So, no, it was just that was a fun deal last year, and cool to be a part of, a good finish like that. Obviously would have liked to come out on the other end of it, but still, we had a fun race, and, I can accept a loss when it's a really exciting finish like that.
All right, we see Eric Jones clock in with the 6 quick. Let's bring to this weekend. Well, first, the year in general. I was afraid for you to join me because I didn't want you to bring any bad luck up here. I mean, your year has been snake bit, mechanical, whatever it could be. We could list the issues. I mean, be honest. Has it been tough to grind through week after week of things just not going your way?
Early in the year, when it was just bad luck, it was kind of annoying. But and then, after that, we had a good few races, and then it kind of went into a couple weeks where it was just mistakes on our part. And that was more frustrating than just having plain bad luck. But I've been able to stay positive from it all just because, seeing how well Kurt's run, seeing how well I've ran throughout races and before our issues kind of arise. So I know that the speed is there, and we won the All-Star race. So I know that we can win. We just got to put it all together.
So this weekend, A, how's the car? And B, what's the driver's approach to qualifying? Now that it's single car impound, you can't change the setup. You have to qualify what you race. What do you expect later today?
Yeah, I felt first practice, and it's tough. We're running wide open. We're lifting, and so the bumps don't really affect you too much in years past until you get to the center of the corner 3 and 4. Well, now I was like, well, there's bumps on entry I've never really felt before, and I couldn't get my car to turn across them. So we worked on that and kind of made it worse to start final practice, but got it better where I felt like we were good on our final sticker run. So yeah, qualifying will be interesting. You're wide open, so you're kind of at the mercy of just how fast your car is. But we'll see. And then as soon as I'm done with qualifying, as soon as I'm done, because I'm the last car, I'm going to head over to the dirt track and go race sprint car or midget. So I'm looking forward to that. But hopefully first we get a good run.
Well, we've talked about how entertaining this track is, and you just bring it up as a fan. You could come here today. You could have watched an Xfinity race, a dirt race tonight, Cup race tomorrow. I think this place is doing a great job of entertaining the fans. It's a great track to race at. Last year's finish was awesome. We wish you all the luck. We're happy to be back. Thanks for joining me up here, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a cool view. I've never been up here, I don't think, before.
I mean, open reservation anytime. You're welcome. So when we come back, more qualifying from the Cup Series here in Chicago.
Kyle Larson just mentioned it. He tweeted it out earlier. It's going to be busy for him. Yeah, he's got to qualify, but then he'll hop into that wing sprint, number 57 up there, as well as the number 97, the midget that will also be running at the dirt track. So he's got a busy night, and then, of course, he's racing tomorrow as well. So a lot of things taking place right here at Chicagoland Speedway. And fans, obviously you follow Kyle Larson or the drivers on social media. Well, Ryan Blaney, he is absolutely all over social media. He's actually going to be a part of Motor Mouths on Wednesday, and that's all about the fans. You get to call in and interject with the guys on Motor Mouths, so make sure to tune in on Wednesday for that. Ryan Blaney will be the guest. You can call in and see how he's doing. Eric Almirola now on the clock. And you see him in the red as well, about a quarter of a second off of what Austin Dillon has been able to do.
This is a race last year that Eric really showed out. We thought he was going to upset, had a little trouble. Didn't win, but had a great day. Fast car. Quiet season for him this year, though.
There was a stretch there last year at Dover, another racetrack where you thought Eric Almirola was going to be.
He goes to Talladega and wins in the playoffs. It's a great year.
Get out there and win. Kyle Busch now on the clock, and you see it moving in the wrong direction as well for him. Wide open.
We talked to his teammate and Eric Jones, and he said, look, I'll be surprised if we qualify better than 12th because their car is set up so that they run well in traffic, not going to run that great by themselves. Being an impound race, that's really going to show up this weekend.
So their focus is not so much that great pit stall or the great starting position, but they want to make sure that when the green flag flies, that they are being the most competitive cars on the track.
And that's not to say that Austin Dillon, Hemric, those guys aren't aiming for the same objective. They just go about it in a different way.
But when you think about it, they're running wide open around the racetrack, and it's 0.3 of a second. That's a lot of speed. Yes. I mean, that's a lot of speed to be giving up. And we saw Hemric in practice look really fast. So these teams, it's a balance. They're all trying to figure it out. And every weekend, something new. They haven't been, you're learning something new, and you're advancing your program all throughout the year as it evolves.
I'm going to tell you, you watch that 37 car go through that bump and turn 3 and 4. I am so glad that I don't have to do that anymore. That is so, y'all have no idea. I think you do, Jeff, but that is a violent moment inside that car. These guys got to do that for over 200 laps.
Yeah, 267 laps tomorrow.
It's not fun, that particular part. I mean, I love running the high side here, running against the fence, but that bump down there is the worst, one of the worst ones in the series. Very, very challenging to get through.
And we've heard some drivers talk about in qualifying trim, it doesn't really upset the car that much, although it's very, very aggressive. But in race trim, when you're old tires and it's slick and you hit that bump, it will completely make your car drive badly. So, once again, who can handle the bumps? Who can make that big jump that you just saw Matt make? Who can do that and not let it upset the car in race trim?
Well, let's find out from a driver who's been very good already in this qualifying session. Daniel Hemric is now joining Steve Letarte on the Peacock pit box.
That's what I was going to say, Rick. We're talking about the bumps. Let's talk about a guy currently P3. Daniel, thanks for joining me after qualifying. First class. I know you probably could run off here, but pretty good run. P3. Let's watch Jimmy Johnson's lap. I love a guy that was just on the racetrack. So what are the challenges for Jimmy here qualifying at this track?
You know, really, everybody's obviously running wide open. It's trying to get your car where you can physically steer the car around the white line, but obviously you're steering the car right, and you're obviously scrubbing speed. So you're trying to fight both edges of that double-edged sword. And luckily for us, our Liberty National Camaro 01 just kind of steered itself around there really nice and didn't have a lot of RPM delta, right? That's what the team sees. That's what the drivers see. And his car looks like it's got a good speed in it as well. He was able to get around the bottom pretty good.
Trending pretty good, almost a 10th. Let's see. Oh, you got it covered. About 5/100. Let's talk about that bump. We hear Jeff and Dale Jr. talking about it. I know it doesn't look good, but from inside the race car, how frustrating is it? How much do you have to adjust your setups?
It definitely can be frustrating. It's can definitely be a crew chief's nightmare. I'm sure you know all about it.
That's why I'm here.
That's exactly right. You know, you kind of hit on, like they were talking about, in qualifying trim, the air pressure's up. You got, seems like more clearance. The tires and the car just tends to get through there better. But when you lower that air pressure down, and if you're kicked too low or you're dragging skirts and in the race car, the driver loses his mind and you start hitting the racetrack and your head's bouncing off the headrest. It gets more and more violent, it seems like, as the race goes. And for whatever reason, it's a huge focus for everybody. It's trying to get the car to go through there and not have that huge change of lanes. And I think we've done a pretty good job of balancing that throughout the day. But hopefully, qualifying is one thing, but hopefully we can keep it going through there good for tomorrow.
Well, let me give you a view you're going to recognize. You're not used to seeing cars from out here, but
that is right.
Dale's wearing this helmet cam right here. Tell the people at home, I mean, how close are we? Is this what you're looking at?
Yeah, it's pretty daggone close. I think it's one of the coolest things that we've integrated into our sport in a long time, and I was fortunate to wear it a lot in the Xfinity Series stuff. I haven't worn it in the Cup race side of things, but this is as close as you can get to the real thing.
Yeah, I tell everybody, talk about that bump. We're going to see it right here as he goes in the middle of 3. His helmet moving around, bouncing off the headrest right down here in the middle of the corner.
It's coming up.
And you know where it is.
Right there.
Oh, yeah, now that got my attention. Well, you mentioned Sundays. You see Suarez trending about 16th. First year at the Cup Series. I'm not going to ask yourself to give it a grade, but give me just the experience. What did you maybe underestimate? Would you underestimate? What's it like running on Sunday?
I think any rookie is going to have probably a little different take on it. I think for us, we had our certain expectations set on this 8-team starting the year off, and really felt like we were giving ourselves something to really shoot for that we could really overachieve with. And our expectations immediately went to a different level. And then it seemed like 5 or 6, 8 weeks after that, it's like anything we did less than that was a disappointing week for us. So now I feel like we've finally been able to kind of reanalyze where we're at with this group. We've been starting to put one foot in front of the other, and as they were talking about earlier, it's trying to develop our program. I feel like as a group we're doing that, learning a little bit better about what we need each racetrack specifically, and They call it a rookie season for a reason. It's been a rookie season, but I think we're doing the right thing to go down the right road.
And I don't want to pick on the bow ties, but I think everybody realizes they're trying to catch up. The only win this year is at Talladega. Well, this bow tie right here looked great in practice, the 88 Alex Bowman, and the Chevy seemed to qualify well. So what do you think it is? Is it a Chevy thing? Is it just all the teams trying to learn as we see Alex Bowman on his lap right now?
I think a little bit of both. I think Hemric Motorsports in itself, in the Chevy camp, has done a better job of taking a bigger step forward quicker than the other side of the manufacturers. You know, I think us at RCR, we've had a ton of speed qualifying for them, but we haven't been able to hit them that perfect race balance like I feel like this group has been able to do over the last 5 to 6 weeks. So hopefully this weekend's a trend for change for us at RCR. But I think we're doing the right thing. You know, listen, we have so many resources at Chevrolet. They're giving us the tools and parts and pieces we need. We just got to be able to put those pieces of the puzzle in the right spot, and you can't do that without being on the racetrack. So that's why we keep coming back every week for that competition and trying to do just that.
So heading into Sunday, talk about expectations, how they change. What do you expect tomorrow? What's a good run for Daniel Hemric leaving here Sunday?
You know, we talk about putting one foot in front of the other, and last couple of weeks going to run top 15, top 12. And that's what we need to be doing, I feel like, as a group. And as you do that, the top 10s will come and so forth. So we just want to have another solid weekend. If we can figure out a way to balance our race car and get through the day and get out of here with a top 10, I think we'll be exceptionally happy with that. Just biggest thing I think I've learned in this deal is not trying to make more out of than what you got. So hopefully I can manage that stuff like I need to throughout the day on Sunday and have some fun with it.
Well, we see Blaney clocks in 7th. Daniel, I can't thank you enough to come right off the racetrack, come here, talk to the fans, explain what they're seeing. That's great. And when we come back, a few more cars from qualifying here at Chicagoland.
You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series qualifying from Chicagoland Speedway. And now one of the better drivers that has been qualifying very, very well this year is on the racetrack. That's William Byron.
3 poles, 7 front row starts. That's a lot of front row starts for a guy. Not a lot of experience, period. Not just in the Cup Series, but in his life. Rising through the ranks really fast. He ran a good race last week at Sonoma. Gained a lot of points. Look at that time there. Oh, man, coming back the other way, keeping it close. Losing a little bit here now, corner exit. Something happened there in the middle of the corner, scrubbed a little speed. It looked like Hemric talked about it. The important job for the driver is to not turn the wheel too much. Hold it wide open. Don't turn the wheel a lot. Turn the wheel, you're scrubbing speed.
Interesting how he went to the wall down the back straightaway and made a big arc into 3. We've seen a lot of people try to make the track just super short. He actually moved toward the wall and arced it.
In my opinion, you're just adding feet unnecessarily to the lap. We learned that at Talladega Daytona when we qualify. You don't run against the wall on the straightaway. It adds thousands of feet to the track, to the lap.
Martin Truex Jr. now on the clock, and when you talk about mile-and-a-half racetracks and having success, again, it wasn't that long ago. We saw Martin Truex Jr. continue his domination, and he has been, if not the best, one of the best over the past 6 or 7 weeks. Martin Truex Jr. celebrating his birthday today, and he won't be as happy with that qualifying run.
He's right there next to his teammate, Kyle Busch. 12th,
but that's that number that we heard from Eric Jones, too, right around the 12th position.
Well, let's see what the other one, the 4th one, does.
Now, this guy, Denny was fast in practice. On the long run, on race trim, one of the best cars. Interested to see where he qualifies. Right now, he's got a great run to the start-finish line. He did a better job than Austin Dillon or anybody else getting around 3 and 4.
But look how quick that speed is going away as he was exiting 2.
You got to think that he's got more drag, more downforce built into that car. Did a pretty decent job here of keeping that speed from dropping too much, losing too much time there.
7th quickest for Denny Hamlin at 30.83. So again, 30.63 is Austin Dillon.
I think he would be thrilled with that. Yeah.
Now on the clock will be the 34 of Michael McDowell. Let's head down to pit road and Marty Snyder.
And we'll chat with Jimmy Johnson, 4th fastest. And Stevie's been saying, hey, Jimmy's one of the best cars out there. What's your confidence level for tomorrow?
Yeah, I feel good about it. We ran a Q run at the end of P1, and that was about the same area on the board. So excited with that. And then the second practice went really well for us. So I liked the car so much, we stayed out and made a really long run, and looked really sporty on the 5 to 20 lap averages. So it's dropped the arm this Ally team needs. We've been grinding hard and working hard, and hopefully we can have a solid weekend from start to finish.
Hard work pays off. Jimmy Johnson, 4th fastest right now. And if you believe folks in the garage area, maybe one of the cars to beat tomorrow.
How about Michael McDowell, though, going up there and throwing a big lap down? He is 6th quickest.
This is an organization that's taken advantage of the rule changes and made it work for them. They've had some great runs this year and a lot of races, definitely improving.
Now Joey Logano, 2-time winner in 2019, trying to defend that championship. And again, the numbers going the wrong way for Logano as well. Pretty tough for Logano to end up in the top 15 here.
His teammates are 9th.
Look how low he is off turn 4.
11th.
Full throttle. The car is turning good, but
16th for Logano. A tough lap for that blue oval. Kevin Harvick, the fastest Ford right now at 30.66. Now Chase Elliott's turn. Getting down to the final 5 cars in this qualifying session.
It's interesting the different approaches drivers are taking. It's not huge, but you say, saw right there, Chase Elliott, waited to get to the bottom of the racetrack, kind of put that big arc getting into turn 1.
Martin Truex Jr. got out against the wall going into turn 3. So did Joey Logano. Chase decided to go into turn 3, a lane lower. Didn't feel it was necessary to open up that corner entry.
12th for Chase Elliott on that qualifying run, 30.916. So again, about 0.3 of a second slower than Austin Dillon. And teams looking for the balance. You see the one? A lot has been said about the one team. And Kurt Busch taking over and really being one of the most impressive Chevrolets in 2019.
I think he takes a lot of pride in going to different teams and improving the performance of that particular car and the company as a whole. Everywhere he goes, he does it. No denying it.
Well, and Kyle Larson even just said it on the Peacock pit box. Having Kurt Busch over there has really helped out the whole organization. And 5th for Kurt Busch on that run.
Let's show you what the drivers are trying to do. So watch Kurt Busch. Watch him leave pit road. Tires spilling, going as hard as he can, trying to get rear grip. But watch what he does. He jumps right up on the racetrack and goes straight to the top. So he's trying to make the track as big as he can make it. Something like we see at Daytona and Talladega. The reason you want to make it big is you want to build that speed. So you enter turn 3 as fast as you can, run as high as you can through 3 and 4. You're trying to wait as long as you can, really, to get to the start-finish line to get that car building speed. And these things matter. Like drivers, some drivers can do it better than others, and it shows up on lap time.
And helmet cam for Ryan Preece. Look how violent it is. And Ryan Preece will be 22nd for his qualifying run.
If you asked all the drivers in the series what the roughest track is on the circuit, this was going to be in the top 2 for every driver that you poll. It has to be. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's just character in the racetrack. It makes it challenging. You don't really want all the tracks to be perfectly smooth. All of them have different attitudes, personalities, and Chicago's got plenty.
Here's David Reagan, 33-year-old out of Georgia.
His teammate, McDowell, runs 7th. Doesn't look like Reagan's trending in that direction. The teams just may have completely different approaches to how they think their cars need to be set up.
Looks like he'll be about a half a second off of what Austin Dillon has run. 30.63 for Austin Dillon and a 31.16 for David Reagan. Final car on the track for qualifying. It's Kyle Larson. We know that Kyle Larson is going to be doing a little more racing still tonight at the dirt track, but I don't know if any of it can compare to what we saw a year ago right here on this racetrack.
Great pace, 2 drivers going at it. You heard Kyle Larson say he didn't want to lose that race, but if you're going to lose one, that's kind of the one you want to lose. At least were in the battle, and he did everything he could to try to take that win from Kyle. Just couldn't finish it off.
Gotta love that. The fans let Kyle Busch know that he's polarizing. Kyle Larson, in his qualifying run, is 14th quickest at a 30.932. So Austin Dillon is going to win the pole for tomorrow's race here at Chicagoland Speedway.
You know, I was at RCR this week, and I spent some time in the engine department, and those guys are fired up about their engine program. They feel like they are building great horsepower. They are very confident in what they're doing, and feel like they've got the power they need to win races. So, you know, this kind of qualifying effort, it shows that they do have the power, right? The engine has a lot to do with qualifying here, and all the guys at ECR, they have to feel good about what Austin and Daniel both were able to do.
Marty.
And I love the superstition. He was up there and you shut the door because you didn't want us to see what was going on up there. But honestly, the way the day started, Austin, did you even think a pole was a possibility?
Well, I felt like if we kept working on it, you know, we changed, we had a good meeting between the 8 hauler and between first and second practice, and kind of had a good idea of what we wanted to make changes on. We were able to make them, and the car was fast. So really proud of these guys. That's our 3rd pole this year. We just need to translate it to the race. You know, huge if we can get a win where we are in points. We've had some really bad weeks, 4 bad weeks of just getting wrecked and random stuff happening. So need a good run, and this is a great way to start it. I know no pole sitter has won this race that's bad, but hopefully we can change that this weekend. 1st
and 3rd for RCR. So you mentioned converting that over to Sunday. What's the balance of saying, hey, we want speed, but we also have to have drivability in the race?
But truthfully, our cars, from what Stockman's saying, we're not trimmed out. So I feel good about it. You know, I feel like we have a car that's drivable. It ran good. We were 11th on average, so I could stay in the throttle quite a bit. And I think we just made some good adjustments and got all of our car we could.
Oh, he bragged on the hair a moment ago. We'll see it. You know, turn around real quick. Even the red stripes in the back of the hair with the star in there. Tell us how that came about.
It's for the NASCAR Salutes program. A-Rod, who's a famous barber in Chicago, cut it yesterday. He's got like 1.9 million followers. Guy's a great guy. He was a military member also, so we were cutting hair. Veterans were coming in. They were cutting their hair, giving them a haircut. It was cool to be a part of that and just hang out in the barber shop.
There you go. And the haircut helped Austin today, no doubt about it. The Stars and Stripes to the pole here at Chicagoland.
He mentioned Stockman. Danny Stockman was his crew chief when he won the Truck Series Championship and the Xfinity Series Championship. Those two are back together again. Just won the pole here.
This is not over yet.
Larson to the bottom of the track.
Good job.
Trying to take the lead away.
Good job.
Larson has the advantage. Here comes the 18. He puts the
Oh, my goodness.
Kyle Busch will win.
Wow.
I don't know what y'all are whining about, but if you don't like that kind of racing, don't even watch.
Okay, don't listen to what Kyle Busch just said there. We want you to watch, and we want you to watch tomorrow. Are we expecting a great race again, guys?
I can't wait till these restarts. I mean, this place offers a lot of opportunity for guys to take huge risks on restarts on the high side, on the low side, going into turn 1. It's going to be 3, 4 wide all day long.
Yeah, this track, it's going to open up wide. We saw already in the Xfinity Series race, it opened up so you can run the bottom, the middle, the top, 4 wide. It would be crazy getting into turn 1 on restarts for sure.
Let's go back into the garage area, and Marty.
Hey, Rick, remember what Denny Hamlin told us earlier today? He said we had, quote, exceptional speed. So how does 9th sit with you right now?
Pretty good, you know, considering where our teammates were. And I was kind of worried a little bit when I saw the speeds that they were running that we were going to be even slower than that. But, you know, the whole FedEx team did a great job of giving us a car there that was able to be P9. And, you know, it's much better in racetrack. We felt pretty happy with where we were in traffic and over the long run. So we're pretty excited with 9th considering everything that we got built into it.
How tough is the decision for race teams to say, hey, we want to be trimmed out versus we want more downforce? How do you balance that? And has that changed throughout the year?
Yeah, and every team will have a different opinion of what that is. And I think that's, you know, when you have these impound races especially, I think you really see who's focusing on speed, who's focusing on, you know, maybe a car that's got more downforce and more drag. So it's not to say that, everyone in the front's going to the back or everyone in the back's going to the front, but it is a balance, and sometimes you can hit it where it has both. And so we think we have a good mix of both this weekend.
So I would assume in a place like Chicagoland, slick racetrack, a lot of bumps, you want more drivability, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be able to move around during the course of a run. I mean, I want to be able to run the same speed whether I'm at the wall or at the bottom, and I want to be able to do that throughout an entire run, not just the first few laps, because the tough part is if you have a fast car for 4 to 5 laps, that's great, but if the first run is 50 laps and you fall back to 12th, that front run speed that you have, you can't get back to the front. So it's just an accordion where you just keep going back and back as the race goes on, because you never can show your short run speed. So it's a tough balance. These race teams are kind of fighting it, but I mean, somebody's got to get the pole and somebody's got to be 20th, and that's just that's how it goes.
There you go, Denny Hamlin, the fastest JGR car, and a lot of thought going into, Rick, what these teams are bringing to the racetrack, and it's changing every week.
Yeah, and when we listen to Denny tell us that about drivability and going to the front or coming to the back, do we look more now at the 15-lap average like we saw today, where Kevin Harvick was spectacular for 15 laps? Denny Hamlin also very good for 15 laps. Is that more of an indicator who's going to be great in the race?
Well, you just heard Austin Dillon say, his crew chief said they're not trimmed out, that they have dialed into that car what they feel like it's good for a race package. You also heard Denny Hamlin say that everybody has a different opinion on what that is. So it's just so hard to know, and even that 15-lap average, it can be skewed by what group you're running with, how many clean laps you got by yourself. So really you have to watch. You have to have the eyeball test and really watch a car, which is why we all believe Denny Hamlin. We're able to watch him, and he said he wanted a car that he could move around, go different places, and we saw him doing that today in practice.
Yeah, I think Denny's got 2 fast teammates that'll contend Sunday, and Mark Trix Jr. and Kyle Busch, and he out-qualified him by quite a bit. I think that says a lot about how good Denny's car really is. I also think that, Brad Keselowski is a guy that's going to be up there. He's been great on the mile and a half this year. He'll be great again Sunday. Also, don't forget about Kevin Harvick. I mean, these are easy picks, but these are the guys that'll be up front.
All right, so we saw him kind of milling about behind the Denny Hamlin interview. I believe Michael McDowell is now with Marty.
See what happens when you loiter around TV cameras, you get put on television. Michael McDowell, great qualifying effort for you guys. I asked you, were you trimmed out, and you said no. So is this a completely new package for you, or what?
Yeah, this is a new build for us at Front Row, and really proud of everybody. Our Love Travel Stop Ford Mustang's been pretty fast all weekend, and it was good in race trim. We didn't think we'd qualify quite that good, but yeah, max downforce. It should race really well, and just got to execute. It's been a tough season for us. We've had really fast cars, but just haven't executed and put the races together that we need to, and so this is a good step in the right direction. So bringing a new car, then what's a realistic goal for tomorrow? Yeah, I think realistic, we should be able to stay in the top 15. Top 10 would be great. Track position is super important, so I feel like we're in a good spot, and we have good speed, and hopefully we'll hang on. Nice qualifying effort for Michael McDowell on the Front Row team, Rick.
Yeah, pretty good run for him. Daniel Hemric, a career best start for him. Austin Dillon winning the pole. We're going to hear from our crew chief, who's on the Peacock pit box, when we come back. Big day on NBCSN tomorrow. Starts off with NASCAR America pre-race at 1 o'clock. They'll race at 3, and then post-race coverage at 6. IMSA racing also from Watkins Glen. A lot of racing tomorrow. Let's go to the Peacock pit box. Steve, what'd you think of the whole day?
I thought it was great to be back to the racetrack. Really that simple. I mean, what a place to come back to. Chicagoland, we've seen great finishes. We saw a great Xfinity race, 2 and 3 wide, all kinds of grooves. I expect the Cup race to be the same. And how about this? Maybe some different players. It didn't seem to be the Truex Kyle Busch show in practice. I thought Harvick looked great. Hamlin looked great. A couple dark horses, though, don't count out Hendrick Motorsports. I thought the 88 and the 48 both look great in the long-run averages. But we'll see. It's going to be a heck of a race. I cannot wait to be upstairs with you guys tomorrow calling the action.
We're looking forward to it. Do you think this is maybe a resurgence for Hendrick? Can Alex Bowman and Jimmy Johnson be fighting for the win possibly tomorrow?
No surprise to see Alex Bowman run up front. He's done it all year long, or he's at a trend of getting that job done here lately.
Hey, Alex Bowman, I think you could consider him not a favorite, but one of the guys has a real shot to win this race.
Well, it was Austin Dillon who got the pole. Coming up next, it's Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. Southwick National.
Oh, Bronny taking the high line.
From
drivers turning left at over 180 miles an hour. In Chicagoland, we turn